We're talking about properties of rational exponents, and we want to use properties of rational exponents to simplify expressions with rational exponents. So the directions say, simplify the expression. Your answer should contain only positive exponents. So in this case, all of the exponents are already positive. So I don't have to move any from the numerator to the denominator or from the denominator to the numerator. My coefficients are already reduced because I have a 1 in the numerator, so I can't simplify that any further. So what I want to do is I just want to use the quotient of powers. So if we have the same base in the numerator and the denominator, we can use subtraction. So I'm going to write those out right here. I have an x to the 1 in the numerator, and then an x squared in the denominator, so I'm going to subtract that, and we get x to the negative 1. We also have a y squared in the numerator and a y squared in the denominator, so I'm going to subtract 2, and then we get y to the 0. Then we have right there, that's the 0 exponent, y to the 0, so that's equal to 1, so we don't have to write that in there. We'll write that down. Y to the 0 is equal to 1. So let's write down what we have. So in the numerator, our y's dropped out because we had y squared and y squared. Those canceled, so the y's are gone. We only had one x in the numerator. We had two x's in the denominator, so there's more x's in the denominator, so our x stays in the denominator. Our 2 stays in the denominator, and we have the understood 1 in the numerator because we don't have any other, all the other values in the numerator got canceled out, so our solution is 1 over 2x. Here we have 4 times y times x to the third divided by negative 2 times x to the negative third. First thing I want to make sure I do is I want to cancel my coefficients, or I want to reduce my coefficients. So we have 4 over negative 2. These are both divisible by 2. And I want to put the negative out of the denominator, so I can just put it in front of the fraction. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and negative 2 divided by 2 is 1 with the negative out front. So those are my new reduced coefficient right there. The next thing I want to do after I write that down, so we have the negative 2, and now we're looking at what we have. So we have a y in the numerator. We don't have any y's in the denominator. And then we have x to the third in the numerator. That's positive, that stays. And we have x to the negative 3, so I can use the negative exponent to move it to the numerator. So it becomes x to the third. And then we have the 1, and we move the x to the third up, so that's over 1. Anytime we have 1 in the denominator, we don't have to write it down. So we get negative 2y x to the 3 plus 3. In that case, we have the product of powers, where we have the same base multiplied together, so we can add the exponents. And then we get negative 2y x to the 6th. Same thing here. We have 4 times n to the third divided by 2 times n. So the first thing I want to do is I want to reduce my coefficients. So these are both divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my coefficients have been reduced. So that's going to be 2 over 1. Next, I want to rewrite any of my exponents as positive exponents. So I look here and I have n to the third in the numerator and n to the first in the denominator, and those are both positive. So now I have to figure out where my n should be. Should it be in the numerator or the denominator? So I'm going to use the quotient of powers here, where we have the same base in the numerator and the denominator. We can subtract the exponents. So n to the third minus 1 is n squared. Now this is positive, so we're going to leave it in the numerator. We don't have to put the 1, we don't have to write the 1. It's understood that it's always there. So then we get 2n squared.